I'm back to show you the next few lessons in making your third grade interactive notebook aligned to Engage New York. I have my notebook that has the work that we did last time. So if you are looking for the first 8 lessons, you need to go and watch part 1. So I have that, and I have been keeping something heavy on it since we worked the last time so that it's nice and flat. You'll want to make sure that you do that with your students or else the notebooks get really big. I have my pages printed out on colored paper. I like the colored paper because it makes it look more bright and fun. You can always print out on white paper and then kids can color it if they want to. I have my glue stick and my scissors and then my cup of pens and colored pencils. Okay, so let's get started. Lesson 9 is a lesson that I couldn't figure out how to put it into one concise I can statement. So it has 2 I can statements. So you're going to have 2 sets of foldables for lesson 9. So here I am cutting out. And just cutting as I explained in the other video. So usually this is a process that I do before I release any interactive notebooks. I go through and I make it. This is my first time videoing myself making it because I do get questions like, how do we do this part? Even though I really do try to include directions that make sense. I know sometimes it's helpful just to see someone doing it. So you are welcome to fast forward this video at any point or watch it in double speed, which is probably what I would do because, as you know, cutting and gluing takes a lot of time and it just does. So fast forward, see what you need to see. Okay, I've got my first lesson 9 I can statement. I can add the rows of an array to show multiplication. And so then on my piece here, so this one you're not really going to be able to fold or cut. You're just going to have to glue it down. I put the dotted lines there so you would know you don't cut along them. I'm going to pick a pen. It says, write a multiplication equation to match the top array. So our array is in 2 pieces. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows with 3 in each row. So that's 5 times 3 equals 15. And then it says, write a multiplication equation to match the bottom array. So I have 3 rows of 3, which equals 9. And it says, show the total for the 2 arrays by adding. So 15 plus 9 equals 24. Show the total for the 2 arrays by multiplying. So altogether I have 8 rows of 3, which equals 24. So this is what it looks like. You can see that. I'm going to open up my notebook to my next free page. Okay, and I've got some room right here. I think I'm going to have to really squish it in, but I will do that because we want to save pages. Okay, and when you are gluing these pieces in, you want to make sure that the corners have glue on them because the corners will start to pop up, and you don't want that. You want it all nice and neat. So I'm going to put lesson 9 as close to the top foldables as I can. Press that down. Oh, see, I got to get this corner better. All right. I'm going to glue this piece. And remember, your students need to know that they only need to put glue around the sides or else they will fill their entire foldable with glue, and that just wastes glue. All right, perfect. So it looks like this now. Now my next lesson 9 is going to go up here. Set that to the side. I'm going to cut out my next piece. Luckily, this is a lot less cutting than my old notebook had, at least per day, because the old version, which you can still use, is organized by topic. And this one is lesson by lesson, so you're probably doing 1 lesson a day. Maybe you're doing 2 at certain parts of the year. and you just need to cut out a couple things per day, which should be pretty quick. Of course, if you have slow cutters, you can always tell them they don't have to cut it out, and they can just glue it directly into their notebooks, and that'll work fine. My motto with most things, but especially these interactive notebooks, is do you. However it works best for you and your class, do that. Don't worry about what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so our second I can statement for lesson 9 is I can subtract the rows of an array to show multiplication. All right, so now we have another array, but this time we've got rows crossed out. Write a multiplication equation to match the top array. This should say the total array, and I will fix it so it says total on yours. One part of this process is I find things that could be worded better or mistakes that I made. So I'm going to fix this to match the total array. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 times 4 equals 40. And then write a multiplication equation to match the crossed out array. Okay, and then I have 2 rows of 4, which is 8. Show the result after subtracting by subtracting. It makes sense if you take a minute. It sounds crazy at first. Show the result after subtracting by subtracting. So I'm taking my totals and subtracting them. 40 minus 8 equals 32. Show the totals for the 2 arrays by multiplying. I'm going to say show the result after subtracting. By multiplying. So then I have 8 arrays times 4 equals 32. Okay? So that one will look a little bit different when you're printing it out because I will have fixed it. Now I'm going to glue. And now I've got this piece. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit another one. Oh, maybe. So I'll put it up as far as I can. Because I'm looking and I can see my next lesson and it has pockets. So I think pockets will fit here. Just let me get the corners really well. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to close this and put my pens on it so that it's smushing. All right. Our next lesson is lesson 10. This is modeling the distributive property, and it involves sorting, which I love. And brains love sorting too, so your kids should enjoy it. Your brain is always trying to bring order to the world, and sorting is one way to do this. And so as much as I can, I incorporate sorting for kids. It's also a low stress way to process information because all of the information is given. The kids don't need to provide anything. They're just organizing information that is given. So I'm going to cut out these pockets. Few more things to cut out this time than last time. Okay, and I gotta cut out the sorting pieces. So cutting these out, you will notice that some have X's on them and some have the 2 parts. And so what we are going to sort today is which show the distributive property putting 2 parts together and which show the distributive property subtracting or taking part away. And you want your kids to see that when you're putting two parts together, you have two different arrays. And when you are taking part away or subtracting, you have some of the rows X'd out. So hopefully they will see this, and this will be easy for them, because I feel like it's a little bit confusing in Engage New York when they're explaining this. So I wanted to make something really, really simple so that they could get the concept, and then hopefully the more complicated way of doing it in Engage New York makes more sense to them. So this is definitely one that I would do before the lesson. Okay, so I'm going to glue down my I can statement. I'm sure that your school, the I can statements are big. They always were at ours. Okay, I can model the distributive property. I probably could have said using arrays there. Okay, and then I'm going to go around the outside of the bottom of this pocket. So I'm leaving this part open because that's where I'm going to put the pieces I'm sorting. I gotta get this one down right here. Hold it there for a minute so it stays. You really want to make sure your pockets are glued down well because you're putting something in them, and there's just a greater chance that they'll come loose than the other pieces. Okay, around the bottom, so I'm leaving an opening. Put this right here. You know what, this one I'm going to move over just a little bit. I'm going to re-glue it. So I have my two pockets here. I want to make sure they're in nice and tight. And now I can do my sorting. So adding two parts together are going to have the two arrays. So I'm going to slide these in. They should just fit. And because I'm trying to squish, I'm covering up my I can statement, but that's okay. And then when I'm subtracting, I have the X's. I'm going to slide those in. Oh, it looks so cute. So there's my pocket. All right, let's work on lesson 11 and smushing going on. Okay, so this one is all about connecting multiplication and division. All right, cut, cut, cut. And I talked about this in the last video, but it's worth repeating that the way that I would manage all this cutting in my classroom is that I would have my students, or I would have the papers on my students' desk when they came in, either for class if you're departmentalized or for the day if you're a self-contained classroom, and it would be part of their morning work to cut up their pieces. I would be wary of students who struggle with organization, who might lose them before math. And so I would definitely have a strategy in place for those kids. But it's also a good time to teach organization and responsibility, that they know that they need these pieces and they need to keep track of them. I would give them the supports to do that. Definitely we would have a place that we would keep them. But you know your students, and you know who can handle it and who can't. Okay, so this one had a black line right here, so we cut that, so it turns it into little feet. And in some cases, we're going to write under these flaps. In this case, we're not. It's just flappy because it's more fun. All right, back to our notebook. Oh, I guess we can fill these out first. Okay, so I have an array up here. And then I have a multiplication equation and a division equation. And what we want students to see is that the same three numbers are used in both multiplication and division. So you can use what you know about multiplication to solve division, and what you know about division to solve multiplication. All right, time to glue. So you can see that really it's the cutting that takes a long time, and that the gluing in the pieces and the doing the activities with your students should only add a few minutes to your math routine, which is exactly what people wanted when they were letting me know that it just took a long time to do the topic by topic version. Okay, now I'm going to glue these in. I'm only going to glue in the top rectangle. I'm going to let the flaps be loose for no other reason than it's just more fun that way. And I think I can fit both of them in next to each other, so I'll have room for a lesson below it. Okay. And I decided to use a composition notebook because I think it holds up better than a spiral notebook. But what's good about a spiral is that the pages are bigger. So you would definitely be able to fit more on per page. I wish they would come out with a spiral or a composition that was the size of a spiral. Okay, we're on to lesson 12. And we are working on division here. So this one is all about 2. Okay, 2 more things to cut out. Done. Okay, almost done. I would definitely fast forward that part. And then you see me looking up. My husband is working from home today. So he's upstairs and he knows I'm filming and he's not supposed to come down, but I worry that he will forget. So it's just what happens. Okay, good. Now I've got my pieces, I can look at my directions. I'm going to start with the one with the trains. Show how to solve using groups of 2 and 2 groups. So because in division you can do groups of or how many groups. So we'll do on the left side groups of 2. So I'm going to circle 2 trains and 2 trains and 2 trains and 2 trains. Like this. So I have 4 groups. Then on the right, I'm going to make 2 groups. And so I see that I can put 1 group with 4 and 1 group with 4. Either way, I can see that 8 divided by 2 is going to equal 4. Either 4 groups or groups of 4. Okay? And now I'm going to do it again with teddy bears. So circling 2, 2. I find that when I have just a bunch of stuff and I need to divide it up, it's so much easier to do groups of because I don't have to do any planning. Over here, when I need to figure out 2 groups, I need to actually count how many I have and then in my head figure out how many to put in each group. So I don't really like this strategy for solving problems, but it's helpful for showing the idea. Okay, so now I've got 5 groups of 2 or 2 groups of 5. And 10 divided by 2 equals 5. Now I'm going to fold these kind of accordion style. So fold the left side down and then back and then fold the right side up like this. And I'm going to glue down this middle part when I put that in. And do it on the lines as best you can. I know it's hard to see sometimes, especially if you're using this colored paper that is a little thicker than white paper. Okay, so I've got my pieces folded. I'm going to glue them in here. Okay, they both shifted. Okay, I'm getting the corners. Oh, nope, I shouldn't have glued down the middle. I need to glue down the side. So I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to glue down this part. Glue down the left side, getting the corners. Okay. Put that down right there. There we go. Is this dry? It's almost dry. I'll put my glue on the left side, getting the corners. Glue that down. Okay. So that's what I have. I'm going to close it up and let that smush down while I cut up lesson 13. It'd be nice if I could use one of my kids as an assistant to cut these up for me while we're working. But they are all at school. And I don't think they would want to do it. Oh, and so you'll notice we have a lot of scraps. And one way to handle this, I'm sure you've seen, is the scrap bucket that a table or a set of desks will have. And instead of getting up and walking to the recycling bin, they just put their scraps in there for the day. And then at the end of the day, or activity, if there's a lot, one person can go empty it in the recycling bin. We want to recycle all of these. We don't want to throw them away. We want to make new paper with them. Okay. Now we're going to look at here. So this time we're working with threes, but we're doing the exact same thing. So 3 rocking horses, 3 rocking horses, 3 rocking horses, and now 3 groups. So in this case, we have 3 groups of 3. So both of our pictures are going to look the same. You see that with the light. Okay, so 9 divided by 3 equals 3. We'll set that to the side. And now we want groups of 3. Circle these. And these are arranged in an array, which makes it easier. So I've got 4 groups of 3, or 3 groups of 4. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4. All right, now I'll fold them the same way I folded the last lesson. Oops, I went way too far over. There we go. Okay, and then fold this side down. Alright, ready to glue these in. I'll glue my I can statement first. This is really kind of boring to sit and do them all at once. Usually I just put on a show in the background as I I work through them, but hopefully you all are finding this useful. If you could leave me feedback wherever you're watching this and let me know, like, yes, I love it, do it again, or no, spend your time doing something else, that would be great. Because this is taking up a lot of time to do it this way. Okay, smush. Now we're on lesson 14. This has a lot to cut out, so definitely set me to, oops. Okay, on the I can statement. So this one is just skip counting by fours. And I thought about doing it a different way, but we skip count by fours using arrays in other situations. And I thought this time, let's just do it. Just skip count by fours. So we have our number cards, and all we're going to do is put them in order to show skip counting by four. Move it in. Okay, so we gotta find 4. And then 8. And then 12. And I'm just doing the middle of these. You'll definitely want your students to get the corners, as I'm always saying. But just to save time, I'm going to just do the middles. I also know that I'm not going to do a lot of flipping back and forth in my notebook because I won't be referencing it the way I hope that your students will. So it'll be fine to have this one set of cards or set of foldables not glued in on the corners. And if you have some students who are working on their multiplication and they really enjoyed this activity, they thought it was very accessible, you can definitely do this with any set of multiplication. You could make the cards bigger, laminate them, have kids practice this way. It's definitely a low anxiety way to practice multiplication. or skip counting, just putting the cards in order. That would actually make a good math station. Maybe I'll put that together in case you don't want to take the time to make it. You can leave me feedback about that too if you want. Okay, and 48. All right, I've got all my 4s in there. Okay, let's get to the next one. We're almost done. We have 3 pages left, which is 6 lessons. Okay, lesson 16. Oh, nope, lesson 15. I didn't even see it over here. Shoot. All right. Oh, we're working on the commutative property. One piece. And 2 pieces. Our I can statement. Okay, so I can model the commutative property using tape diagrams. Perfect. I'm going to look at the one that has 2 times 5 first. So my 2 times 5 equals 10. So my total is 10, and then I have 2 groups of 5. Or 5 times 2 equals 10. My total is 10, and I have 5 groups of 2. What I like about this is that students often use arrays to model the commutative property, and we just want to get them a little bit more flexible with it and see that they can use any model to show the commutative property. Okay, I'm going to fold these like I folded them before. Ready for gluing. Okay. Need my I can statement at the top. All right. You know, I'm thinking about it, and I'm going to finish up Module 1 the way we've been doing it, where you see me do everything. But for the rest of the modules, I think I'm going to cut out everything ahead of time, because that seems to be what is taking the most time, and that's just a lot of time videoing. It's a lot of time for you to have to watch. So I think I'm going to do that. Figuring things out as I go. Now I'm on lesson 16. And we are back to the distributive property. You know, there must be a reason that in Engaged New York, they kind of jump around. A little commutative property, then a little distributive property, then back to the commutative property. So I'm kind of curious about that, why you wouldn't just teach one really well and then teach the other. At all. I'm also a big fan of discovery, and so I have some products in my store that are open-ended tasks where you don't give the kids instructions on how to do something. You just remind them of what they already know and then say, well, how would you use that to solve this? And you see what they come up with. Because number one, it's way more fun to solve problems by thinking than it is to just follow steps. And that's what math is anyway. It's not following steps all the time. It's discovery. But also, kids understand things so much better when they discover them on their own. Like, I don't know about you, but I've had kids taking a math test and they say, oh, I don't remember how to do this. Well, if they knew how to figure things out, even if they didn't remember the exact steps we had talked about in class, they could still figure out how to attempt the problem instead of just getting stuck. All right, let's start with our array, the longer piece. Sorry, the light makes that harder to see. So it says partition the array into 2 smaller parts. So you can have all of your students do the same thing as you, or you can let everyone choose their own. So I am going to, let's see how many there are total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I'm going to break it up into 5 rows and 4 rows because 5s are easy to multiply by. Then I write my equation, 5 times 3 equals 15, and then 4 times 3 equals 12, and 15 plus 12 equals 27. So you can see, you could even, if you wanted to, you could even print out multiple of these for each kid, and they could solve it a whole bunch of different ways. And that would hopefully build that flexibility that you can break up a problem however you want. Okay, now we've got a tape diagram. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 4s. So 7 groups of 4 equals 28. Oh, shoot, I was thinking we were doing the commutative property. Sorry, so this time we're going to need colored pencils. So I'm going to grab a blue and I'm going to color in 5 of the 4s with light blue. Okay, and then I'm going to get a really different color, like this pink color. I'm going to color in the other 2 4s with that. So I'm showing my 2 groups. And you could even have your students color in your array with colored pencils using 2 groups. You can see I have 2 different colors. So then I have 5 times 4 equals 20, and 2 times 4 equals 8, and 20 plus 8 equals 48. So I can fill in my total as 48. Sorry about that confusion. I just got going on autopilot. Okay, so, this should be a dotted line because we don't want to fold along it. We don't want to cut along it. We want to fold. So that's one of those mistakes that will be fixed for you. And then this is folding. So I'm going to put the glue on the model side of each foldable. Oh, I've got to get my I can statement in too. This in, and I can fold up the top if I want to. It's not going to save me space because the long piece is so much longer, but I could. Here I'm going to put this part in, get those corners. Okay. So here it is with the folds, and then you can just fold it out to look at it and fold it down to look at it. Okay, let's make sure it's all folded right, and then, oh, glue got stuck. Wipe that off, smush that down. Okay, I've got one more pink piece, lesson 17. Oh, it's a sorting one. The sorting ones are my favorite. If I could figure out a way to do sorting for every lesson, I probably would come out with a version that was all sorting. But sometimes I have a hard time. You are welcome to comment with ways that you would do sorting. That would be great. Okay, get my pockets cut out. Maybe not in this module, but in other modules, I have some pockets that are just rectangles. I like using these special shapes because it shows it is a pocket, but sometimes it just doesn't fit. And I really wanted to keep each lesson to a half a page because then it's easier for you to organize and everyone knows what to expect. So sometimes they wouldn't fit, so I would just have to have rectangles. And that's the why of that, in case you were curious later on about why the shape of the pockets changed. But anytime I had room, I do the special shaped pockets. So I'm cutting out some equations now. I also always try to have the same number of pieces in each pocket. I can't think of an example where I didn't, but it could come up just because I don't have the space or I couldn't think of another example. But for the most part, you should have the same amount of pieces in each pocket. That also helps kids who need those supports that if they don't have the same number of foldables in each pocket, maybe they made a mistake and they should check their work. Okay. All right, and our learning target. Okay. Ready to, oh, you know what? These have to be solved. And here, one of my pockets, I get to fill in the total. So if I have two groups of 5, that's a total of 10. So now I have some equations. 9 divided by 3 equals 3. 10 divided by 5 equals 2. 10 divided by 2 equals 5. 3 times 3 equals 9. Oh, you know, this is an example of where I don't have the same number in each pocket. And that is because in this case, so we are sorting and we're looking at how one model can show one multiplication equation and 2 division equations. So 9 divided by 3 is a square number, so it only has one division equation that fits. So there you go. All right, let's get our notebook so we can start gluing. All right, let's see if this will fit. Oh, yep, I can fit it. So I can put it on the same page. Oh, why didn't I put the pink over there? Oh, well. Let's see. No, I'm just going to leave it. So I think what is happening is I'm getting a little tired of recording because I've started to make some mistakes. So what I'm going to do as soon as we get these in here is I am going to pause. I'm going to go fix some of the mistakes that I said I would make or fix. And then I'm going to cut out the pieces. And we're going to move much more quickly for the last 4 lessons. Okay, so for this one, I've already sorted them. I'm going to put my 3 times 3 equals 9 and 9 divided by 3 equals 3 in the pocket that shows the array with 3 rows of 3. I'm going to put all my 10 to 5 ones in the pocket that has a tape diagram with 2 groups of 5. Okay? All right, so I'm going to pause here and I will see you in part 3.